Here at Daily Motor, we get all sorts of vehicles into test. We get sports cars, pickup trucks, luxury vehicles, but if I had to park any of them in my garage permanently, this 2020 Volvo V60 Cross Country would have to be it. Everything about this car is just about perfect to how I would want it for my own vehicle. The V60 Cross Country model starts at about $46,000, and this one here is optioned to about $57,000, but none of the options are things that I think are superfluous or unnecessarily expensive. They're all probably options I'd pick as well, and I think you'd really like them. We've had a few Volvos in here recently, and if you've watched the videos, you know one of my biggest gripes about them are the tires. This Volvo completely eliminates that with these hardy 19-inch wheels wrapped in 45 spec profile tires. The base V60 Cross Country actually comes with 18-inch wheels, and I would probably option those instead, getting even more sidewall and absorbing the bumps even better. The normal V60 without the Cross Country accoutrement is a little bit more appealing. A normal V60 wouldn't have this plastic cladding. The ride height would be a tad bit lower. However, I do have to admit that having this plastic cladding and a little extra ride height would be great for dirt roads, for potholy Michigan roads, any sort of maybe light off-roading I'd want to do, snow, absolutely. You get a little extra clearance for deep snow drifts, anything like that. And this actually has an air suspension, so in off-road mode it can lift itself up even further to clear obstacles or weird driveway angles that you might have. And this plastic cladding does make it look a little bit more aggressive and would eliminate possible rock chips or rust that might occur along the sides of the vehicle. But even with its plastic cladding, I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Every Volvo these days is now in their new design language. It's got these Thor hammer headlights. You'll see in the interior, they all look similar as well. But something about this wagon form factor just makes it look sleek and attractive and sexy. This light tan, champagne looking paint color really accentuates the beautiful lines of the car. The last XC90 we had kind of almost a matte, not very detailed gray paint. And the one thing I complained about it was it didn't really show off the beautiful lines of the car. This metallic paint does that. And you can see coming back here, these flowing lines that start from the front, kind of come all the way to the back and sort of accentuate and make sort of a pretty yet aggressive look to the vehicle. I think the way they did these roof racks, really attractive, subtle, but effective if you wanted to put something on there, ski rack, bikes, anything. These backlights managed just to keep sort of a classic Volvo style of the taillights that go all the way up past the window, but yet translate it into their modern design language, making it look sharp, aggressive, and attractive all together. The V60's got power open trunk, lift gate, so you can either use the key or inside the vehicle or right here, the button. You've got an awesome, very functional trunk in here. You can ignore our two snow scrapers. You've got a lot of depth here, a good load height. You can see how flat it is. You've got this privacy cover that's got two different places. You can go right here, or you can go further up. This makes it so when the trunk lid is closed, this makes it so when the lift gate's closed, people can't see into what you have in your trunk area. You've got this little flap here that can kind of section off your trunk should you want to put groceries and not have them fly around as much, as well as these little grocery bag hook holders here, so you can put things on there and even strap them right here. So I almost wish I had some groceries or something to show you, but I probably wouldn't be able to buy anything because all the grocery stores are emptied out. But you could hang something right here or put a suitcase or anything you might be moving, and then it holds it tight so that you can go around corners or anything and things aren't shuffling around. Very smart, simple design from Volvo there. And then underneath here, you've got a spare, not screwing around with inflation kits or anything here. It is compact, so you're not supposed to drive any faster than 50 miles per hour. And it's not a full tire replacement, but it's there. You can put it on and use it. You've got your tools, easy to find right there. You've also got a little storage net in there for some more things. You've got a center pass-through should you have long items like skis that you might want to put in there. You've got even more bag holders up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you open this up, 5, 6. So plenty of smart places to put items and bags in the trunk, as well as these metal tie downs. So if you had something that you really wanted to strap down there and didn't want it going anywhere, these things are really firm and solid. You even have a 12-volt outlet back here, should you want to power something. So very versatile trunk in the V60, whether you're using it for camping, everyday usage, storing, transporting large items. I love it. These buttons, you can press this one to just close the trunk, or this one to close the trunk and lock it, if this were the last thing you were doing and you were leaving the vehicle. Now the one downside of the V60, even in this T5 form, which is the lowest engine option, is Volvo does require that you use 91 octane fuel. It's a little bit more expensive than some other cars to drive the V60, but you are seeing that on more and more luxury cars these days. Coming around to the back seat, first, just initially, I want to see if you can hear this. Everything's a very solid feel, very premium materials, very solid build quality in the Volvo. I really love this interior. You've got dark on the floor where you're going to get a lot of wear from shoes or obvious wear in a car. But then you've got light on the seats and the upper parts of the vehicle, making it feel airy, a little bit more spacious and roomy. So the seat right now is set for a 5'10" driver. And I've got plenty of room back here. I've got a good amount of leg room, foot room. The seat recline is good. I could sit back here for a long time. I'm comfortable. You've got an air vent. You've got a little coat hanger right here, as well as one up here. This seat is comfortable. It's got a good recline to it. I could sit back here for plenty of hours and be perfectly comfortable as an adult passenger. You've got this nice center folding armrest here that kind of comes down from the middle. Got a little bit of space to put a device. This, if you can hear, is like a smooth, grippy plastic. So if I put a phone, it doesn't move or rattle around. Like if the car were jostling, it doesn't go anywhere, which is smart. It's just a very subtle to use, like a smooth, grippy plastic there. But it was smart on Volvo's part. I appreciate that. Got some cup holders come out of there, as well as a little center storage area that does have a harder plastic where things would rattle and slide around. If they use this plastic here, I don't know why they couldn't have used it here. A classic Volvo feature that they've had for a long time is the Headrest Fold feature. So from a button in the front, you can move these headrests down and get a little extra visibility. And it's fun if you have a short passenger in there to hit them in the head, because they're not expecting it. You've also got this large panoramic sunroof back here that allows rear passengers to get just as much sunlight as the front passengers. Really makes for a nice atmosphere as you're sitting, driving around, looking up at the sky. You've got handles right here on both sides, as well as rear HVAC controls. Each back seat has 3 heated seat control levels, as well as their own fan control. It's 4-zone climate control, so each front right, front left, rear right, and rear left passenger can set their desired climate. You also have a 12-volt outlet back here. It would be nice to see some USB ports, but Volvo's design was done a few years ago, and they're not quite as up-to-date as some of the other luxury brands when it comes to connections. So backseat passengers definitely have it good in the V60, but the front's really where it's at. The front seats of the Volvo V60 really show off and accentuate the beauty of Volvo's interior design language. They started with the XC90 back in 2015, and ever since then they've been bringing all their models up to this beautiful design. You can get in any Volvo nowadays, any of their models, and they all look the same in the front, but that's a good thing because everything's executed beautifully and functionally. We've got a lot of different seat functionalities, but it does lead me to one of my other few gripes with all new Volvos, and that is, Volvo, why don't you have a power adjustable steering column? I understand that this is something that could go out and cost repair money in the future, but it's so nice to be able to just get a fine tune to exactly where you want your steering wheel to be. And in every Volvo, even the $100,000 T8 models, just got an old school manual adjustment, get it where you want, and then wrestle with it before you can finally get it locked into the right spot. It's weird because this whole cabin feels futuristic and luxury and high quality, except for that adjustment. All the other adjustments work great. Down here you have your standard back and forth, up and down, back recline, as well as a cushion adjustment and 4-way lumbar support. The one weird thing with the Volvo seats are that the headrests don't adjust. So there's no raising or lowering of the headrests. They kind of just sit right where Volvo wanted them to be. Everything in the Volvo cockpit is beautiful to touch, look at, and well designed. The steering wheel has this nice two-tone quality leather. It's fully heated all around. You've got a nice functional shift knob, no weird buttons or levers that some people don't care for. Quality materials for all your adjustments. Look at this beautiful wood. It's got a nice texture to it, nice grain. You find it up here as well. I much prefer kind of the classic design of this Volvo versus some of the metal, urban, industrial sort of feels of some of the R-design Volvos with a lot of the carbon fiber and metal. Just give me this nice, classy design. I really appreciate it. I will admit that this piano black plastic will probably get scratched up over time and not look nearly as good after 100,000 miles. You see it back here as well. But the leather is going to stay in good shape. All the materials work well. Starting it up, you're greeted with this beautiful gauge cluster. The Volvo's gauge cluster works well. It's actually not quite as customizable as you'd think for such a large digital display, but you can change the themes of the gauges a bit, make it look a little bit more how you might want. And I do appreciate the map right in the center. If you're driving around, it'll show you where roads are coming up, different labels. It's just nifty to have. You get some other straightforward information. You can cycle through trip averages, fuel economy, some media, phone settings, navigation settings, etc. Now all the controls in any new Volvo are controlled through this center display. As far as touchscreens go in new vehicles, it actually works pretty well. The only downsides are, because everything is controlled in here, when the car is starting up and all of its functions are getting going and getting warmed up, the screen can be laggy. And if you're trying to get your heated seat on or get the temperature set to a certain setting, it can be frustrating to wait multiple seconds for everything to turn on and get going properly. I'm also not a huge fan of when cars lock climate controls away in a center touchscreen. In the Volvo, you can't change the heat or fan or any sort of settings without using the touchscreen, which means taking a little bit more time away from the road, looking away, finding where your controls are, and then making your adjustments from there. Volvo did come up with a workaround for this though, and that is their voice controls. So you can press this little button on the steering wheel here and say, turn on the climate system.
Turning on auto climate.
Set the temperature to 73 degrees.
Temperature set to 73 degrees.
So that is an option to do, and you can control other settings like that as well. Turn driver seat heat off.
Turning off seat heat.
So you do have that functionality if you don't want to take your eyes and hands off the road while you're driving. However, I can see a lot of times when this wouldn't be particularly convenient. Say you've got a passenger in the car and they're sleeping and you want to just change the temperature and you don't want to announce to your car what you want to do and then have the car announce back. Or what if you're having a conversation with people in the car and you don't want to stop everything just so you can ask your car to do something. Not only that, but there are times if you don't say exactly what the car wants to hear, it won't do it. Like right now the climate system's off. If I just say, set the temperature to 72 degrees.
Climate system off.
Then the climate system's off. Okay, why isn't it smart enough to just turn the climate system on and then set the temperature to 72 degrees? So unlike some systems that can kind of understand your natural voice and what you might be asking, you do have to be pretty specific with the Volvo system. But once you learn the controls, it does work pretty well. Now this is kind of a cool setting in the Volvo. The map lights in all four places in the vehicle, both 2 in the front and 2 in the back, can be dimmed to exactly where you want them to be. So say if you're driving along at night and you need a little bit of light to do something in the passenger seat, but you don't want it to be at full brightness, you can push and hold the button and it comes down to a dimmer setting, which might not distract the driver as much, might not distract you as much, might not be as hard on your eyes, and then when you're done, you can just tap it and turn it off. All right, let's take the Volvo V60 out on the road. Now, Volvo's got 3 engine options for the V60. You've got the T5, which is this. It's a turbocharged 2-liter direct injection inline 4. And then you've got the T6, which is the same motor but turbocharged and supercharged. And then you've got the T8, which takes that turbocharged, supercharged motor and adds plug-in electric power. And the T8's your most powerful option, 400 horse. And the T6, I think, makes 316 in this configuration. This car with the T5 has 250 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, and I am 100% honest with you when I say this would be the engine I would get in virtually any Volvo. If I were completely made of money and I just wanted a super nice, like maybe XC90 or Volvo V90 or something, sure, I would ball out and I would pay $70,000 or $80,000 for an Inscription T8 model. I'd get all that power from the plug-in hybrid and the efficiency because I like driving on electric. But for anyone else, if you're trying to make a sensible Volvo purchase, just get the T5. The T6 engine, yeah, it's powerful, but it doesn't sound aggressive. It doesn't respond aggressively. Volvo powertrains are great at being smooth and efficient. So why not get the smoothest and most efficient option here in the T5? It costs less. It gets over 30 miles to the gallon in the right driving. EPA rates at 22 city, 31 highway, 25 combined. Those are decent numbers for a large luxury vehicle like this. But if you were to step up and get the T6 model, you'd get a little bit extra power, yes, but in most of your driving, you're not going to notice it. This car, the power comes on smoothly through its 8-speed automatic transmission. I can get right up to speed quickly, easily, and efficiently. I'm just cruising along here in comfort mode, but if I floor it, the car downshifts nearly immediately, drops a few gears right where it needs to be, and pulls strong. That would get me out of any sort of unsafe situation or passing situation that I needed power. It's plenty to get up to speed. Yeah, it's not going to pin you to the back of the seat quite as much as the T6, but it's not like the T6 is a rocket ship either. So 100% option for the T5. Other than that, all of the driving dynamics of the V60 cross country are just so nice and smooth. The controls are right where you want them to be. The braking is smooth. This transmission makes for nice, perfect shifts every single time. You can barely even feel changing gears. But then when you need to drive aggressively, you can use the shifter here and switch into manual mode, downshift. Now, shifts aren't dual clutch quick by any means, but you can hold gears, shift, and drive along like that. I appreciate that Volvo didn't try to make this car sporty. It's not a car that should be sporty. In most of your day-to-day driving, you just want your car to be smooth and efficient and kind of fade into the background. And the V60, especially in this cross-country trim, does an awesome job at that. Do I have any complaints with the driving of the V60? Honestly, not really. My complaints with Volvo cars are very few and far between. They're specific, and they're definitely there, and they definitely haven't been addressed. But I love the turning radius in this car. I love the steering effort. Yes, the steering's not nearly as communicative as older hydraulic systems or what you might get out of a Mazda or Porsche. But again, for day-to-day driving, it's weighted well enough. It's easy. It's direct. I just don't know. You'd have to be so picky to want something different. This car is optioned with a $4,000 Bowers & Wilkins high-end audio system. And it is so darn good. It's quite possibly one of the best audio systems I've ever experienced in a car. I'll put a link to the sound system test in the XC90 with a very similar Bowers & Wilkins system, so you can get an idea of just how dynamic and how well this system works to bring through sounds of all sorts, whether it's low end, high end. It parses them all in their different speakers, brings them through clearly, crisply, and powerfully. And I love it. I love this audio system. Now, I know it sounds like I'm just blowing sunshine up these Volvos and that they're the perfect cars and that I'm just a total fanboy, and I recognize that. But I've spent a lot of time in a lot of different Volvo models, and for all of the different design elements that they choose and performance elements and everything to come together into this package, it's just so refreshing to be like, yeah, this is about it. This is all the little different bits and pieces that I take from other Volvos, combine them into this package. It's just about it. If I were to change anything about this configuration, I'd pick the 18-inch wheels. I would contemplate not picking the Bowers & Wilkins system. I'd probably still pick it. But I do know that the next level down Harman Kardon system is also very, very good. Other than that, maybe a different exterior color. But this Volvo V60 Cross Country with the T5 powertrain, this nice wood grain, this beautiful leather, this is it, guys. If you're looking for a functional, luxury, kind of near luxury, but luxury daily driver, name me a car that's better. Let's get out and take one more look. Yeah, there's just really not too much not to like about this V60. I will say that there's one package it does have that I would probably option it without. It would drop the price down a little bit, not significantly. Taking a look at the Monroney here, it has a Cross Country Pro package that includes an exterior styling kit, the 4-zone automatic climate control, 4-way power lumbar front seats, some of the grocery bag holders, the 19-inch wheels, and a few other design elements, and that's $2,800. So I might go without that package. But other than that, about $56,000, $57,000, depending on exactly your final options. You get this beautiful spec here, these wheels, this color, wagon form. It really doesn't get too much better than this, guys, here in 2020. So hope you guys liked this video, getting a chance to see the Volvo V60 Cross Country in action. Thank you to Nathan here for filming today. You've seen him on other videos, and you'll start seeing him around more as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. Hit like on the video. Check out our other videos. Like I said, I'll include the sound system review and some others in the description. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Drive on.